Works. Okay, get this going up. So while we wait to see people join in. We are going okay. Okay. So clear vision. Good day to you too. How's Saturday going for you? Kind of hot here where I'm at, so hopefully you got better weather. I was wanting to. I thought we'd go over this in the live today. I got this in the mail Thursday. It's like $30 on Amazon. I'm not plugging it. I'm not sponsored or nothing. But it's an interesting little box set. And I did a couple videos actually on TikTok about what's in it. But I thought I'd go over it a little more in here. It's hot too. It's called Titanic 100 Years Below. It's a box set collection. You get this book, The Story of Titanic by Henry Hurst. Then you get a DVD and CD combo set. You have a DVD called The Tale of Two Journeys, and then you have the music of Titanic. The band played on is what the CD is called. It's got 25 songs from Titanic from that era, including the band played on, Melancholy Baby, Come Josephine, My Flying Machine, and it goes through and then all the way down to number 25 where the very last song is Nearer My God to Thee, which was reported as the last song played on the Titanic as she sank. But one of the fun things with this set, besides the book, the DVD, and the CD, is, if I can get these back in the box gently here, is you actually get a little packet of memorabilia that comes with the set and everything. And so I thought, like I said, I did a little video on this stuff on TikTok Thursday when I got it, but I thought I would go over it in a little better detail here today where I have more time. And I'm not on a time limit and everything. So, all of that. Trinidad and Tobago. I'd love to. I would love to travel. My health won't let me though. I've actually wanted to move to Ireland because my mother's side of the family is Irish, and we don't really know a whole lot about the family. So I've wanted to move to Ireland and look for all that. But yeah, you had family on the Titanic. So which family member was it? What was their name? So, for these parts here, as I go through these, I got to use the booklet here because I'm not very good at reading the tiny little print on the back. So, this has a full guide of what all of this is. So, this will help me out. So, this one is Alan Baggett. Baggett celebrated his 28th birthday on the voyage. He was a first-class steward and would have helped many passengers under his responsibility to safety. He boarded lifeboat number 9, which most accept had between 35 and 40 people in it. Baggett was married with 6 children and died in 1921 of chronic alcoholism, perhaps brought on by his experiences on the Titanic. Saved in Lifeboat 2, Appleton. Or your dad, at least your dad says. Pretty interesting. I'm going to have to... I've got lists of survivors and stuff. I might have to look up, see. I'll look that up probably this week. Maybe next Saturday when I go live again, you can join me here and we'll discuss, I'll see if there was anybody like that, by that name. This card here is Ernest Allen, a 24-year-old from Southampton, worked in the engine room as a trimmer, taking coal to the engines. Although he survived aboard Collapsible B, his brother Fred, who was an elevator boy, did not. Ernest Allen died in 1968. This is Percy Ball, right here. Ball was 19 years old, responsible for looking after the china and plates used in the first-class dining areas on the Titanic. Titanic was his first ship. He joined just before the ship departed on April 10th. He survived aboard Lifeboat 13, which is thought to have contained about 25 women and children, 15 male passengers, and some 25 male crew members. He died in 1933. This is Alfred Edgar Windbank. Those are not wanting to stay there. I do not want to lose them. Hold on a minute. Okay, we'll put those down there. Okay. So Windbank, also aboard Lifeboat 13, was 38 years of age and had many adventures during his time at sea, including service in the Spanish-American War. He joined the Titanic on the morning of her departure as a sauce cook, replacing a man who failed to sign on. He died at age 87 in 1961. Oh, brightness hit on that one, so you didn't get to see it very well? Let's see. Hopefully that's a little better this time. That one, yeah. This is Harold Godfrey Lowe, Officer Lowe. This Welsh-born 29 Harold Lowe was 5th officer on board the Titanic and took command of lifeboat number 14. When the crowd around lifeboat became unruly, he fired a few precautionary shots into the air. After the sinking, it is understood that Officer Lowe rode back into the area and picked up another 3 or 4 survivors. During the First World War, he served on minesweepers, and he died in 1944. Then the next one here get that to focus in a little bit, is James Witter. Witter was a 29-year-old smoking room steward. While assisting with lifeboat number 11, he stood on the rail trying to help a hysterical woman who lost her footing and fell. Witter grabbed hold of her and they both tumbled into the boat. Fully loaded, the boat was lowered at dangerous angles, and it is believed that a baby was thrown into at the last minute without its mother. Witter later, I'll spit it out in a minute, served on many of the great transatlantic lines, but he was haunted by his experience for the rest of his life, and he died in 1961. 10 hours. Mrs. Appleton and Mr. Cornell became separated from Mrs. Brown and Miss Evans. Two sisters reached. Which was among the last to leave sinking. Boat 2 left the Titanic about 1:45. Yeah, there wasn't really a lot of order to how the boats left. Normally, you would of course think going down by the head, bow first, they would have started near the bridge and worked their way aft to give them as much time as possible, but they really didn't. They had no clue what they were doing. There was a boat drill designed for that morning, and there's a piece in here that we'll get to in a minute that also helps explain some of this. But it was all canceled and everything. So, yeah, that's one reason why boats today have regular boat drills. You usually end up having your very first lifeboat drill the very first full day on board the ship. Like if you board, say, noon today, tomorrow morning you start your first boat drill. And that's the way most people do it today because of Titanic. So the final card here, getting a little bit of a glare on that one again. I think most of that's coming from my computer. But this is Walter William Benstead. So Benstead is from Southampton, was a 20-year-old trimmer on board the Titanic. It was thought that he escaped aboard lifeboat number 3 along with 36 to 38 other people during the First World War. He served on minesweepers and submarines, and he passed away in 1959. Okay, so those are all the crew cards. So other memorabilia you'll get that comes in this collection is a collection of telegraphs from the wireless room during the sinking. SOS, SOS, CQD, CQD. We are sinking fast. Passengers put into boats. MGY. Titanic's call sign. Women and children in boats cannot last much longer. MGY. First message sent to Titanic from Burma. MGY to SBA. What is the matter with you? Answer. Okay, we have struck iceberg and sinking. Please tell captain to come. MGY, we are only 100 miles from you, steaming 14 knots. Be with you by 6:30. Our positions, latitude 40.48 north by longitude 52.13 west. It looks like it's kind of smudged here. These are scans of original documents from the National Archives in London. So they were old. Things have happened over the years. And then the last one here says, we have struck an iceberg, sinking fast. Come to our assistance. Position 41.46 north. Latitude by longitude 50.14 west. And this finishes off with the MGY again for the Titanic. You get a replica copy of the registered transmission, the seaworthiness for the vessel. It talks about how Titanic had passed all her sea trials and was deemed seaworthy. I've actually got another copy of this, a more not the original copy, of course, not an authentic copy. You know, it's a replica as well, but it's a more proper sized, it's actual full size document, not this shrunken down version. It's one of the pieces that I have. Then you have right here a double-sided piece of lists of the crew of the Titanic, and there's names in here. Wild, it's like Lightoller might be right there. There's Boxhall, there's Lowe. I mean, you know, they just got a whole lot of names on here of crew from the Titanic. Some of this writing is a little tough to make out, but that's a fun little piece. You get this is a little chart of the sea from the Burma when charting Titanic's location. It marks it out that I guess Burma was here, Titanic was reported up here. It marks a field of ice here in red, and then you see their charted, their plotted course going up here to try to save them. And it marks where icebergs are, where the Titanic was, different things. As you see, it's copied from the original, and you can see the water stains. Something had gotten spilled on the original, apparently. You get, this is a letter from the Secretary of the Board of Trade, London. It says, shocked by the sad news of the terrible calamity at sea that has cost so many human lives and deprived English shipping of one of its finest vessels, somebody to accept in the misfortune the expression of my deepest sorrows and sympathy. Minister of Trade. And he signed it. Thank you. I've 25 plus years. I'm still learning. As I tell people all the time, you could never say you truly know everything about a particular subject. You will always be learning something new, no matter how long you study something. I said, I have studied Titanic for 25 plus years, and I still learn new stuff all the time. So, if somebody tries to tell you they know everything there is to know about a specific subject, just don't. They don't, really. So, but this one here is, I love the underprinting, what the paper itself was made of for this one. The letterhead with the Olympic in the background. It says, Dear Sir, referring to your printed notice of the 26th instant regarding the Titanic, we beg to say that all the information as to the passengers on board and the numbers saved is shown on page 23 and 42 of the report of the inquiry into the loss of the steamer. No doubt this will give the desired particulars in the most convenient form. Yours faithfully, for Ismay, Emery and Company. So that's what that one is. Move this book. So that one is that is the number of passengers letter. That's what that one is. Then you get another nice big White Star Line letterhead piece here, which is pretty much just the same as that last one. Further our communication of yesterday, we were extremely sorry to have to send you the following wire this morning, referring to telegram yesterday, Titanic deeply grieved. Say that during the night we received word steamer foundered. About 675 souls, mostly women and children, saved, which we now beg to confirm. Yours faithfully, Ismay Marine Company. It's basically the same letter as that last one. All of that. This is from the Hamburg America line. This is a letter from the German liners, referring to our respects of yesterday's date and further reply to your favor of the 6th instant. We have now the logbook of President Lincoln before us, which contains the following notes. April 11th, between 8 and 10 p.m., foggy, temperature, seawater, 0 degrees the temperature of seawater, 0 degrees Celsius. Engines very slowly ahead, 10 p.m., clear weather, full speed ahead. April 12th, 4:20 a.m., course south 73 degrees west, true course, clear weather. Saw 2 icebergs, one ahead of us and the other to the north, very near to the ship. All engines full speed ahead, about 14 knots per hour. 4:50 a.m. we saw large masses of field ice, man, getting tongue-tied here, extending to the south and southeast. Altered our course to the southeast, engines slowly ahead until 7 a.m. No ice in sight to the west and southwest. 6 a.m. full speed ahead, wind west-northwest, seas calm. As so on as the Prince Albert arrives there, we shall send you all the details we can gather in regard to questions B and C of your letter in the 6th. And then all of that. Titanic, it's like, oh, you think you know me a lot. Think again. Very true. Just when you think you've got something, it spins it on its head. And you've got to restart all over again. And then this is a list of all those saved. You have men, women, and children. And then first, second, third class total. And then crew numbers down here. So it goes through all of that. This is a couple pieces of like little poetry about the Titanic, I guess. It says, this one is called The Titanic's Heroic Band. There's a lot of feedback. It might be my... hold on. Let me try shutting that off. It's hot, but I had the air conditioner going. It might have been that feeding back a little bit. See if that helps out a little bit there. If that makes it sound any better. Is the sound clearing up? So, as I was, saying there, this side has one called The Titanic's Heroic Band, and then this side is The Loss of the Titanic. So it says, okay, I'm good. Okay, good. Nice, sounds cleared up. Air conditioner must have been blowing across the speaker or something, because it's right here beside me in the window. Sweet, brilliant strains of music was wafted on the air of the deep and vast Atlantic, and all seemed bright and fair. As the fine and great Titanic sped gracefully along, with many voices on board heard in joyous song. For it was the maiden voyage of that magnificent ship, and hearts were filled with grandeur of the trip. While over the sparkling ocean the ship did greatly ride, which infused with admiration and much joy beside. For those that had looked forward when the monarch of the sea was launched upon the water would plow the waves successfully. Now I'll be good for a little bit. I got the hallway and this front room sealed off so the air gets held in right here, so I'll be good for a few minutes while I go through this stuff. But I appreciate the concern there. Now, if this was a couple weeks ago when we had the major heat wave, I would probably have to keep it on. We had a heat wave, I said, almost 2 weeks ago now, where temperatures were well over 100 degrees Fahrenheit with heat indexes upwards of 120 Fahrenheit. So it got very bad here. Today it's only up in like the 80s though, so it's not too bad. So then the one on the other side here, the loss of the Titanic. Ah, they lie there cold, both the young and old, who wrapped in the sleep of death, and the farewell word, unheeded, unheard, is choked in the dying breath. Engulfed in waves, for few could they save, struck down and bereft of life, is the hapless youth, and the dreadful truth was borne ashore to the wife. Sadly, we all think of the hearts that sink when news of the dead appears, of everyone's woe at the crushing blow of the wives' and sisters' tears. Oh, should we not then, for those noble men, feel a pride no words can tell? For they gave up all at the Almighty's call, and they met their doom right well. So, and then that's that. Those are those little poems there. So where am I from? I'm in Missouri. I'm in the U.S. I'm in the United States here. Yeah, I live in the middle, literally mid-Missouri is what we call it. The middle of Missouri. I'm in a town called Columbia. We're just about 150,000 people. It's a decent-sized city. Thanks, nice. I'm not big on poetry, so I might have messed that up a little bit, so thank you for saying how nicely read that was. Said I've never been very good at a lot of... I could do haikus pretty good, but normal poetry, not so well. Let's see, this one, what was this one again? Hold on, I gotta look this one up. Resolution from Ben Tillett and Dockers Union is what this one right here is. It says, the executive of the Dock Wharf Riverside and General Workers Union hereby offers its sincere condolences to the bereaved relatives of the third-class passengers of the SS Titanic, whose tragic sinking we deplore. We also send our sincere regret to the relatives of the crew who were drowned, not doomed. We also offer our strongest protest against the wanton and callous disregard of human life and the vicious class antagonism shown in the practical forbidding of the saving of the lives of the third-class passengers, and it just goes on from there. It basically condemns White Star Line for keeping the classes separate in a time of crisis like that. You tell us more about yourself. What do you want to know? Like I said, what do you want to know? I'm an open book. This one. Now this one I'm not going to be able to read. I don't do very well with cursive. This is a statement from Alfred Fernand, whatever, Aumont is his name. And that's what this one right here is. It's a 2-page, well, technically 3-page letter. But I said, I don't do cursive very well, and that writing's very, very tiny, so I'm not even going to attempt that one. Yeah. And then the last 2 pieces in the memorabilia that you get are a double-sided piece on some of the blueprints of the ship. You get the upper 3 decks here, boat deck, A deck, and B deck, and then you get some of the lower, more mid decks here. You get, looks like F, E, and maybe G deck there, or C deck up there, it looks like, maybe, I don't know. But you get a mix of decks in that one. About my background, like with Titanic, well, I've been into Titanic as long, I don't even remember how I got into Titanic itself. Said Titanic Truths started this month will be the 10-year anniversary of creating Titanic Truths as an LLC. The Titanic Truths originally just began as a standard Facebook page, but it grew into an actual business within a year. I started it trying to actually raise the Titanic to salvage the real ship and everything. About myself, I said not really much to tell. I said I'm born and raised here in Missouri. It's where I'm from. This is where I've always been. I said I have health issues. You know, I'm on dialysis. That's what this is right here. I have a catheter that goes in right here. It goes up over my collarbone right there, and then goes down into my heart. And twice a week I have to go get dialysis, and they hook up to this and they pull all the blood out of my body and clean it and then put it back in, and it takes a ton out of you. It's horrible. It just wipes you out. I think the only thing worse would have to be actual chemotherapy for cancer. That would be the only thing that's probably worse than dialysis is actual cancer. But yeah, I said I have health problems. I'm legally I'm disabled, but I don't let it stop me. Titanic's what I love. It's what I've always loved, and it's what I do. And everything. So I'm working on, of course, my attraction of the Titanic, which, I've been reaching out to some people on funding issues, trying to come up with funding and everything, because like I said, I had a huge meeting with the city of Columbia here where I live on the attraction, and they absolutely loved it. So it's really down to funding now, because designs are pretty much done. There's a few small details to work out, but for the most part, those are done. May I ask what's wrong with you? Physically? A lot, actually. I'm hard of hearing. I'm almost completely deaf in this ear, I think it is. I always forget which ear it is that they worked on. I believe it's my right ear this is my bad ear. I'm like 85% deaf in this ear. I have pretty much no eardrum at all. They tried to rebuild it, didn't work. Said I had a light stroke a few years ago. In my family, my mom's side of the family, we have strokes at younger ages than most people. And so, yeah, I had a light stroke a few years ago, so my left leg and stuff doesn't work very well. So I got to use aids to walk around, walkers, crutches, wheelchairs, all of that. But like I said, it doesn't stop me. I'm not a quitter. I don't sit down and just give up. I keep going, and that's just the way I work. I always have. So, yeah, like I said, of course, the dialysis, everything. Kidney problems, again, that's something that just runs in the family. My dad was on dialysis. I had an uncle that was on dialysis. I was told I had an aunt that lived way up north that was on it, but I don't know. I don't think I've ever met her. But, yeah, like I said, it's just stuff like that. But, yeah, like I said, I don't let it stop me, so. But, anyway, the last piece of, and this is the one that I was talking about earlier when we was talking, lifeboat drills. And I said I had a piece that would explain that further. That is this piece right here, where it's color coded, red, blue, green, and yellow. And red is for the crew quarter areas, where the crew, all of these areas for the crew, like the firemen down here, and then the firemen's passages down here. They come up here to these forward boats. First class areas right here and then second class should have gone to here, and then third class should have gone to here for lifeboats. This is what the lifeboat drill on the Titanic should have been. This is what they would have practiced the morning of the 15th had they not struck the iceberg. That's what that piece is right there. It shows you how the emergency systems would have worked on board, and how, like I said, she would have been, how all of that would have been done. So, it's, like I said, there was a boat drill scheduled on the Titanic for the morning of the 15th, but obviously it never got to happen. And that's one reason why ships today have, a boat drill every few days. And so on. I'm going to do something here in a minute, though. I'm going to take the book. So that's why I said, if you board a boat today. Okay, this air is going to have to go back on. Hopefully this doesn't cut in too much. I'll try to turn the computer, block the air from it. Hopefully that'll keep that closed off a bit. Block the computer a little. Let me know if that messes with the volume with the sound again, because I had to turn the air back on. It was getting way too hot in here. So, I said another thing in the box set here is this book, and I'm not going to read the whole book, but it's a very nice, it's very nicely illustrated, pictures completely throughout. Have you sinned, dram the ocean? I'm not sure what you mean by that one. Have you sinned, dram the... Yeah, I'm not sure what you mean by that one. Are you talking about the National Geographic show Drain the Titanic? Yeah, I've seen that one. I've seen Drain the Titanic. I've got Disney Plus, which has National Geographic on there, and I've watched it several times actually. Yeah, I said Titanic Truth's original plan was, when we first started, I was partnered with a UK company, and I was the project manager for their American branch, and our plan, our mission was to try to raise the Titanic. They wanted to raise the entire ship and I guess somehow rebuild it and everything, and it was very unrealistic, and we had a difference of opinions, and I went my own way and everything. So, but like I said, it just, salvage is pretty much, as much as I would love it, it's pretty much out at this point. It's not going to happen, sadly. RMS Titanic Inc. is in the midst of working on trying to salvage some more stuff from the wreck right now as we speak, and the U.S. government is blocking their attempts. So that's your favorite documentary. What do I think? I like it. I like Drain the Titanic. Drain the Titanic is a good documentary. It's one of the better ones. My favorite documentary, though, would have to be Titanic's Achilles heel, which I've gone over before in some of my past lives and stuff, and some of the videos on TikTok and everything. But it discusses the idea of the V-split theory. And Roger Long, the naval architect, who I am friends with on Facebook, shows that, if Titanic split the way we think she split this way, you would see, tension at the top where it comes apart, and then compression at the bottom where it's coming together. So the bottom should be all jumbled and twisted and chaotic, and the top should be fairly cleanly split. But you see the opposite of that in the wreck. The keel, the double bottom, all of that is cleanly cut, while the upper decks are jumbled and chaotic and twisted among themselves. Is that when they... Yeah, that's one of the things RMS Titanic Inc. is trying to do, is to take out the Marconi, the wireless radio, out of the Marconi room. And like I said, the U.S. government they've been trying to do this for like a couple years now, and the government keeps blocking them and stuff. And yeah, I don't think, because they were ordered on July 28th, 2000 by a federal court in Virginia that RMS Titanic Inc. was not allowed to cut from, penetrate into, or to sell any item removed from the wreck of the Titanic. And they have violated that order countless times already. If you had the chance, would you have gotten in that sub to the Titanic? No. I've talked about that one before too. I love the Titanic, and I have reviewed thousands of hours of dive footage of the wreck. And I'm not afraid of small places. I'm not afraid of water. I'm not afraid of dark. I'm not afraid of cold. I'm not afraid of any of that stuff. But my anxiety would not let me go down in there. That water coming over the top of that sub and everything, and then, of course, they said that as the Titan would descend, you'd hear bangs, almost like a bullet shot, almost like gunshots, every few minutes, where the hull was contracting and getting, being essentially damaged. I don't think I could have done that. My anxiety would not have allowed me to do that, not in the least. Now, maybe one of the Alvins, one of the mirror subs, like Alvin or whatever, but I don't think I could have. I do not think I could have done it. Not at all. If you could have done it, all the power to you. I, you know, anybody that can go down there and do all that, I wish them the best. I wish them the best, all the best in the world. But my anxiety and stuff would not have let me do it. I probably would have had a panic attack, even without anything going wrong. So yeah, like I said, I'm good just reviewing dive footage here on the computer, on, you know, after the fact. They've got the new VR scans of the wreck that just came out earlier this summer, and so, you know, I'm hoping to get, when the attraction gets opened up and have the VR, there's going to be a VR virtual reality room inside the attraction where you can play like Titanic Honor and Glory, do the VR wreck site that they just took, all of that kind of stuff and more. And so, you know, that'll be how I go see the wreck, is virtual reality. But yeah, I could never really, I would love to see the Titanic in person fully, but I could never do it in a submarine. Let me raise the Titanic up and put it in a museum like I had originally intended, and maybe we can talk. Until then, not for me. But what's a panic attack? How do they make? Oh, panic attacks are, oh, they are horrible. Same in VR, just like Lusitania. Lusitania would be a good one to get in VR. I don't know. I think they're doing one. I think they're in the midst of trying to make that scanner for that. But panic attack, it's hard to describe, because panic attack, getting back to the panic attack comment there, they're different for everybody. It all depends on who. Some people can hyperventilate and just about fully pass out. Some people can get violent and start breaking stuff and tearing stuff up. Me, when I get a panic attack, I feel like everything's closing in on me, and I have no I can be wide open outside in the, you know, in the open, and I feel like I'm being suffocated and smothered and can't get nowhere, and I usually have to leave. I have to get up and go somewhere and do something, get my mind off of it. The last time I had a panic attack like that was a few years ago, and to try to get my mind off of it, we ended up going to the mall here in town, and I went shopping for a little bit. I went to Spencer's, which is one of my favorite stores, Mr. Bulky's, which is a candy shop that's in there, and then we went into Barnes and Noble, and I bought like $40 or $50 worth of Titanic books to help get my mind off of things. And I said, I've had them before in the past, years ago, where I said I just had to leave, and I went out on the town for like hours on end, just doing whatever I wanted to do, how I wanted to do it, when I wanted to do it, just at my own speed. I said, panic attacks are just different for everybody. It all just depends on who you are. But yeah, but anyway, I said, I said, I'm not sponsored or plugging this or anything, but, you know, if you do love Titanic and you want to check this thing out, I would recommend going on Amazon and looking up Titanic 100 Years Below, And like I said, I paid like $30 for this. So, and like I said, I've got other Titanics, and how you can see right there, it's one of the Titanic. And then there's another one right here. And my DVDs up here. So I've got a ton of DVDs all the way throughout all that stuff over there. I've got tons of Titanic documentaries like this one right here. Then this is the Julian Fellows Titanic. I have Titanic Blood and Steel. I've got James Cameron's Titanic. I've got the 3D Blu-ray of that one. The actual 3D one. You know. So I've got a lot of Titanic DVDs and stuff. And then this will be added to the set now. Another box set DVD that'll go up there. This Titanic one right here actually has like 3 or 4 DVD documentaries on the same CD, on the same DVD. So yeah, there's, I said, you've got those two right there. I said there's another one like right there is one of them. And then the James Cameron one's way over there on that side. And everything. That's, you know, that's where I need to go back through these and reorganize them. They used to be organized a lot better. But I'm sure you can also see right here my little wire Titanic that I made a few years ago. I got bored one night, took a little scrap piece of wire and just bent it into the silhouette of Titanic. And I've kind of kept it ever since. It's just right there. But I'm working on getting my place cleaned up. It's coming along. I still got a little bit more to do, but I'm hoping, I'm about ready to start working on where my workshop's going to be and getting it cleaned up and reorganized. And so when I do the large Lego Titanic set, off-brand, but Lego Titanic set that I have over here in the box, hopefully we can finally start building that on live here every week. My plan is to every week work on some of this Lego Titanic while we talk Titanic. And then it'll take a little while, but hopefully we can get it all built. And I got to get one of my shelves out of the storage unit outside, out of my storage shed. I've got a nice big wooden shelf that it'll fit perfectly on. So I got to get one of them out of the shed and get it hung up so that when it's done it can get mounted where it needs to go. But hopefully soon we can finally begin that one. I'm still working on redoing one of my Kobe Titanic models into a Lego mock of the attraction that I've designed. I've got the base laid out roughly, and I've got the Kobe Titanic set taken apart and broke down to the water line. Now I just got to put it all back together and mount it. So that'll be another one I'm going to work on. And then I got to order everything to make the pier entrance building. Which ship would you like to see in a game in the style of Hogwarts Legacy? Well, if you did a shipping game in the style of Hogwarts, I think you would have to choose multiple ships, where like each ship is your house. Where in Hogwarts you have Gryffindors, Hufflepuffs, Ravenclaw, Slytherin, and then you in a shipping legacy game, you could decide whether you want to sail on the Titanic or the Britannic or the Lusitania or the Andrea Doria or whatever it may be. Maybe one of the Queen Mary or Queen Elizabeth, or I think you would want multiple ships. Just like you get to choose your house, you could choose your ship. You could choose your ticket to a different, and then depending on which ship you choose, you get different mission styles and in-game experiences. If you choose the Titanic, then obviously you end up going through the sinking and everything. If you choose, say, the Britannic, then you end up having to work in basically a hospital and taking care of patients and stuff. I think that could be a fun game. That could, a lot of stuff to work out. Excuse me. But there's potential in that. I could see it. But anyway, I think I am going to just about call it for this week. Had a real good live this week. I'm hoping to have more interactions like this as we keep going. Said I've moved it now to Saturdays, as you can tell, obviously. And hopefully having it on Saturdays will have this kind of good interactions as we've had today. But I said, in the meantime, I will said go check this out on Amazon if you want. The memorabilia there's pretty cool. But I will be seeing you next week around the same time roughly. So, like I said, subscribe here on YouTube so you know when so you'll get that notification when I go live, so you know, and everything. And then, like I said, follow me on TikTok, because I'm trying to get my TikTok, up to 1,000 followers so I can go live over there, because they've got that 1,000 follower threshold, and the TikTok over there's only I only started it back in May, not even a year ago. So it's still fairly new. So yeah, subscribe here, follow on TikTok, and you can like on Facebook as well. I'm still working on getting everything set up to start selling the tickets for the attraction, but I'm having a lot of difficulty doing that. I always get so far, and then it asks for all kinds of information that I just don't have before I can keep going. So, but until next Saturday, I will see you all then.